Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Unplugged and Uncut, the new source for sports, news, and entertainment. You are live with your boy Unique, and today we're going to get into the Toronto Raptors' OG Anunoby being linked to the San Antonio Spurs, why this is happening, and then we're going to put together a trade package that might be able to help both teams could say yes to. After that, of course, we'll get into the comments and see how everybody feels about this situation. Now, before I get started, real quickly, if you have not taken the time to hit the subscribe button, make sure you do. I am giving away a PlayStation 5 disc edition with the game of your choice. Once we hit 100,000 subscribers, all you got to do to be entered to win is be an active subscriber and leave comments in the comment section. That is all, but we got a huge episode and a lot of material to go over, so let's get right into it. The San Antonio Spurs, the Toronto Raptors have made multiple trades with each other over the last few years and have seemed to be able to help each other out in the past. Now, it caught me a little off guard with the Spurs being linked to OG Anunoby. The first thing was, why? Why would the Spurs be linked to OG Anunoby? He's a 6'7", 232-pound small forward making $16 million. Adding him to the team would make him the highest paid player on the team, making more than even DeJounte Murray. And he plays the exact same position as Keldon Johnson. And normally it's hard to say two players are one and the same, but in this situation, both players average 17 and 5. That is right. They both play small forward. They're both young, excellent players. 6'7", 6'6". OG having the inch height advantage. But yeah, they both average 17 points and 5 rebounds a game. Now, I guess in theory you could run Keldon Johnson and OG Anunoby together. But then you got to think about Devin Vassell and Josh Primo, how they fit in there. So it's a lot of questions as why the Spurs would be linked there. Now, if you're the Spurs and you're embracing the small ball era and you're going towards positionless basketball, it could make sense. From the Raptors position, I think I know the player they'd be targeting. In fact, two of the players they'd be targeting. So it could make sense, and we'll get into those players here in a minute. But it just is a very interesting situation with adding the Spurs and them being the most linked team to this player. Of course, OG Anunoby is a really good player, so we're not saying anything there. So, seeing as we're going to say the Spurs are embracing small ball basketball and the Raptors are looking for win now players, let's go ahead and put the trade together. So we're going to have the Raptors receive Jakob Poeltl, Lonnie Walker IV via sign and trade, and the 38th pick. The Spurs receive OG Anunoby and the 33rd pick. Now, before we can see how this affects the Raptors lineup, we do need to make that 38th pick. And with the 38th pick, we're going to have the Toronto Raptors select David Rowdy, 6'6", 261-pound small forward that averaged 19.2 points, 7.5 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 1.1 blocks, and 1.2 steals. He's going to play and give you effort at both ends of the ball, or both ends of the court. Sorry about that. And he kind of replaces OG Anunoby a little bit. Again, he's an inch off with the height, but his point production and his rebounds are very similar, and averaging 1.1 blocks and 1.2 steals a game isn't too shabby either, showing that you are putting forth the effort on the defensive end. Now, with a trade like this, the Raptors are going to have a nice balance of offense and defense. Let's check out that starting lineup. You have a guard rotation of Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. and VanVleet both have the ability to get electric hot. I mean, just go scorch earth and just tear it up from long range. They can get inside buckets, outside. So you have a nice guard combination there that can score with anybody. Now you're also backing them up with Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam, two forwards that are very versatile, can switch everything, are going to give max effort on the defense, and both players are excellent playmakers. I'll give the nod to playmaking to Scotty Barnes, but do not sleep on Pascal Siakam's ability to make plays for others as well as himself. And then you complete that lineup with a defensive monster like Jakob Poeltl. Now you got Jakob Poeltl, Pascal Siakam, and Scotty Barnes covering up for Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent. Not saying these two guys can't play defense, but you can't teach height, and having three players on your back court that big, that versatile, makes the Raptors lineup able to go with anybody. I think they could stand toe to toe with anybody. Then you got firepower off the bench. Lonnie Walker IV is an explosive scorer. He's inconsistent with that score, but he's going to average about 15 points a game next year off the bench for you. You got to re-sign Chris Boucher, or Boucher, however you say his last name, Boucher. That guy can hit shots in crunch time moments. He's not scared, and he's a great player to bring off the bench. Precious Achiuwa, Kim Birch, and Matt Flynn. Not to mention David Roddy. That leaves the Raptors in a position to go ahead and keep contending, especially with their excellent coaching. That's right, Nick Nurse is an excellent coach. And with this type of team that is gritty, defensive-minded, and still has the potential to be explosive on the offensive side, watch out, the Raptors will be a force, and definitely within the top 6, maybe even top 4 of the Eastern Conference. Now, from the Spurs' point of view, it gets a little shaky, because you're losing Jakob Poeltl and you're adding OG Anunoby. So off the top, you have no center. So from the Spurs' point of view, their starting four of DeJounte Murray, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, OG Anunoby. That's a versatile 4 players to start. However, you are still faced with the height and the power forward need, in my humble opinion. I mean, your tallest player on the court right now would be OG Anunoby at power forward, or Keldon Johnson, and that's 6'7" and 6'6". So with this draft, we do have to draft a few players real quickly, and we are going to go on just by who's actually going to be available and not just say who we want on the team. Of course, I want to draft Jabari Smith or Paolo Banchero, but we got to live in reality. So with the 9th pick, we'll have the Spurs draft Jalen Duren. He's going to answer the most obvious need for the Spurs as a big that could come in and play. With the 20th pick, we'll have the Spurs in this situation draft Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy is an explosive scorer, 3-level scorer. Just got to work on shot selection, like most young players. They feel like they can make any shot, so they take any shot. But he is an explosive scorer, and he's going to push Josh Primo. With the 25th pick, we're going to have the Spurs take Dalen Terry out of Arizona. We'll make Sean Elliott happy, get an Arizona alum. For those who do not know Dalen Terry, this is somewhat of a reach. At the 25th pick, he's been slotted anywhere from the 23rd to the 2nd round, though. So it's not too much of a reach. However, Dalen Terry answers a couple questions for the Spurs. He's a 6'7" jumbo point guard. He is a two-way player that can facilitate our offense and get his own buckets. He needs to work on his three-point percentage. Kind of sounds like Trey Jones. Excellent two-way player, except the difference is this point guard is 6'7" and a jumbo point guard. Also, when you pick up Dalen Terry at this point in the draft, it gives you the option on letting Trey Jones's contract come up, and you can let the market decide his value and see if you want to match that contract or if you just want to let him walk, or maybe help him move to where he's going in a sign and trade. So it gives you options with Trey Jones moving forward. And with the 33rd pick, since we moved up, we are going to have the Spurs take the youngest player in this draft. They're going to follow suit with the Josh Primo pick, and they're going to pick up Leonard Miller. 6'10", high school small forward. All right, guys, real quickly. Now, with the Spurs drafting Jalen Duren and Leonard Miller, they just drafted the two youngest players in this draft. And like we just mentioned, that goes in suit with Josh Primo. However, I hear a lot of ruckus about people making noise about the 2023 draft. And I'm going to give you a couple reasons why this 2022 draft might be the draft you don't want to miss out on. One quick example: Oklahoma City is already sitting and looking like they're going to get Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, or Paolo Banchero, whoever they want out of those three that's available. But they want to trade their 12th pick and a future first round pick to move back up into the top 10 in this draft. That is just one example of why this draft might be better than you think. The second reason: Jalen Duren reclassified and was technically a senior playing college basketball this year. That is right, he was a senior in high school playing college basketball. Now, he was able to reclassify, and he skipped his senior year of high school to go play college basketball. So if you look at his draft projections before this year, he was in the 2023 draft. And he was one of the players predicted to be the number one pick in the 2023 draft. You might be getting the best player available in that draft with the ninth pick. Look at Leonard Miller's draft profile. Before this year, he was predicted to be in the 2023 draft as a high lottery pick. You're getting two of the best players in the 2023 draft this year, right now. That's why I like this draft for the Spurs. And it actually helps fill positions of need. So I don't understand the OG Anunoby part of it, but if they do it, this is what it would look like now. The Spurs have a lineup starting of DeJounte Murray, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, OG Anunoby, and Jalen Duren. Coming off the bench would be Trey Jones. And then Dalen Terry would push for some point guard minutes. You could see Josh Primo handle a little point guard time as well, since they were training him to play the 1 through 4. Josh Richardson and Joshua Primo will handle the shooting guard backup role, most of that. You'll see Jaden Hardy's explosive scoring ability get in there at times. But being a rookie, Pop doesn't like to give rookies too much of a leash. Doug McBuckets, Zach Collins, Jacques Landale will handle most of the small forward, power forward, center minutes off the bench. Now, with this draft, guys, the Spurs sit now at 14 players, meaning Romeo Langford, Joe Wieskamp, KBD, Robert Woodard, Devontae Cacok are all fighting with any undrafted free agents available. Players like Sharif O'Neal, really talented, Shaquille O'Neal's son. The Spurs might want to give him a look, especially with Shaquille O'Neal graduating from high school right here in San Antonio. They might want to give a player like that a look, who is a nice size player. He's like 6'8", real smooth handle and can shoot the ball. So there's going to be some interesting undrafted players that the Spurs might want to look at that are going to give the players on the roster a run for their money at that 15th spot and those two-way contracts. Not to mention the Spurs might want to pick up a free agent like Otto Porter, TJ Warren, Mitchell Robinson, JaVale McGee type player. Real quickly, even with the Spurs getting OG Anunoby, if you wanted to get a max contract player such as DeAndre Ayton, Zach LaVine, or even a player that's not a max contract but might cost a little bit more like Mitchell Robinson, you could still make this happen. The Spurs would have to play a little bit of cap gymnastics, but it still is a possibility. You would see players like Jay Richardson, Doug McBuckets, and Zach Collins become cap casualties. So there is still the ability to get a max player like DeAndre Ayton on the team, Zach LaVine, if that's what the Spurs wanted to do, even picking up OG Anunoby. So it doesn't ruin your flexibility altogether. So we see how the Spurs may look. We see how the Raptors may look after this trade, guys. I didn't understand the speculation, but we will put all the different sites up so you can see where the speculation is coming from. But if it is true, this is something we could see happen. Spur fans, how do you feel about OG Anunoby being added to the Spur roster? Raptors, are y'all trying to get Jakob Poeltl and Lonnie Walker to add to your team to make a championship level team, somebody that could compete in the East? Is that what's going on here? Are these just rumors, you think, and nothing to it? Or you think where there's smoke, there might be fire? But I'm going to be checking in the comments to see how everybody feels about this one. Very interesting situation we have brewing heading into the NBA draft. It is coming up in less than, 10 days? So if you count today, that's less than 10 days away. It's going to be fun, and I can't wait to read what everybody puts in the comments. But that's all I got for today, everybody. Y'all have a blessed day, because your boy is out. Peace.